Hello. My name's Blossoms and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. And today we're going to be comparing and contrasting Ganyu and Amber. Because Ganyu has been extremely well received by the community despite having almost the exact same kit as Amber. So why is Amber considered extremely bad? Well, we're actually going to compare and contrast their different abilities, and then I'm going to get into the fact as to why Amber falls short between Ganyu. Even though you can definitely make Amber work in this game, she's definitely not as good as Ganyu, and we're going to go over why in just a second. But before we actually hop into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you actually enjoyed the video. It helps support me and the channel, and I really appreciate it. Alright, so while we're doing the compare and contrast portion here, I'm actually going to go over their different talents and compare them to each other to go ahead and give you guys an idea of where the differences actually lie. So first and foremost, we're going to go over their normal and charge attack. First off, Ganyu actually has an additional hit in her normal attack combo, and that's okay. I think that's fine. It's nothing too crazy here. Maybe a little bit of additional damage, but like, who really cares about that? The real difference here in their normal and charge attack is the fact that Ganyu gets an additional level of charged on her charge attack here, and that deals like an AoE, and it does huge amounts of damage, and honestly, I think that's fine too. I don't think Amber needs that. This is something that makes Ganyu a unique 5-star, and I think all 5-stars should have a unique aspect to them, despite the fact Ganyu being a really similar to Amber. I think this is a really cool aspect that Ganyu has, and I don't think Amber needs it at all, even though she gets something similar in her Constellation 1. Moving on to their skills. So, Ganyu and Amber both have a taunt skill. When Ganyu uses her skill, she dashes back and deals cryo damage, and then when its duration is up, it explodes and deals cryo damage. And Amber, when she uses her skill, she tosses Baron Bunny and it dances around for a bit doing the taunt and then explodes, dealing the pyro damage. So the main difference here is the fact that Amber doesn't do any damage on hit. It has a longer cooldown and duration for Amber and deals less damage than Ganyu's skill. So Ganyu gets initial damage on the actual press of the button if she's nearby those enemies, and then she also gets damage when it explodes. Moving on to the elemental burst here, they both shoot up their respective element, it comes down, and it deals their respective elements damage. The major differences here is the fact that Ganyu's has a 100% uptime and a huge AoE compared to Amber's. Ganyu's here has a 15-second duration as well as a 15-second cooldown and a low energy cost of 60, and over the course of that ability it's definitely going to be dealing more damage than Amber's burst will. However, Amber does have a lower energy cost, a lower cooldown, very slightly lower cooldown, and a significantly lower duration. All of the damage of Amber's burst happens in the course of 2 seconds, and that's okay. I think it probably should be a little bit longer, but this definitely makes Amber a little bit more of a bursty option rather than Ganyu's kind of like support option, and those are the major differences there. So now that we got past their primary talents here, we're going to go into their passive talents, and we're going to ignore the two passive talents that don't really matter, like the refunds 15% of ore and the decreased gliding stamina for Amber. Those things don't matter. We're going to go into the ones that actually affect the gameplay. So the first passive talent for both of them here is actually pretty similar as well, and their last passive talent is also pretty similar. So for Ganyu's first passive talent here, we have Undivided Heart. After firing a Frostflake arrow, the crit rate of subsequent Frostflake arrows and the resulting bloom effects is increased by 20% for 5 seconds. That's a significant spike in crit rate, and definitely helps you, with your crit rate for those arrows. Nothing too crazy here, I will admit, but that is definitely a nice quality of life thing to have. So moving on to Amber's first passive here, we have every arrow finds its target, increases the crit rate of Fiery Rain by 10%, and widens its AoE by 30%. So they're actually very similar. They both get crit rate increases for one of their talents here. Ganyu's being her charge shot, and Amber's being her elemental burst. They're both pretty good. Amber does get a little bit more AoE here, and that's pretty nice. Moving on to Ganyu's second passive talent here, we have Harmony Between Heaven and Earth. Celestial Shower grants a 20% cryo damage bonus to active party members in the AoE. This is actually pretty insane. It only affects the person currently in the circle, so that's pretty solid. So the moment she leaves the field, it won't have that 20% cryo damage bonus. So that's important to note. But the 20% on a damage bonus is actually huge. That's a really good bonus. and the fact that it only affects whoever's in the field at the moment really does balance it out. Now, Amber's final passive here is actually really similar in terms of the fact that it gives a damage bonus. It's called Precise Shot here. Aim shot hits on weak points increase attack by 15% for 10 seconds. This isn't nearly as good as Ganyu's. Obviously, the damage bonus is better than an attack bonus, but this is a little bit more general. But this doesn't really go to any of your allies or anything as well. So, you know, that's kind of up in the air. But still really good regardless. So their kits are really similar. They're actually almost identical. They have very small differences. So why is Amber considered to be so much worse than Ganyu? And I'm going to tell you straight up, it is not because of damage. Yes, Ganyu is a 5-star and her stats are a bit higher than Amber, but that's really not going to be what's separating Amber from Ganyu. The thing that is separating Amber from Ganyu is straight up going to be consistency. So the fact that Ganyu's E actually deals initial damage and gives energy on the initial hit and energy on the explosion makes her much more consistent than Amber just tossing out her puppet and getting energy when it finally explodes. Ganyu being able to generate energy more often than Amber is going to be one of the massive factors to the consistency of Ganyu and why she is so much better than Amber. Also, not to mention the fact that Ganyu just straight up applies her element much more effectively than Amber. The fact that her Q lasts for so long and has that 100% uptime compared to Amber's significantly smaller AoE, even when she does have her talent that increases the AoE of her burst by 30%, it is significantly smaller than Ganyu's, and its duration is way lower. Ganyu's is 15-second duration, Amber's is 2 seconds, so her pyro application is just way worse than Ganyu's cryo application, and that's one massive factor that is really hurting Amber. Now, Amber certainly does get better with constellations, and I think she's certainly worth using once you get a couple constellations. You get a similar effect on her aim shot where she deals additional damage and fires an additional arrow, and you get more damage on her bunny on her C2. Her C4 even lowers the cooldown of her bunny and adds an additional charge, and those are all really good constellations to have. But even then, when you have those constellations, she's still worse Ganyu because of the fact that her consistency is hurt so much. Being able to detonate the bunny on command is really nice, but the fact that it just straight up isn't as consistent as Ganyu's E really does hurt her. Now, I think one or two ways to really help Amber's consistency would probably to either, increase the duration of fire eration and or increase the consistency of the Baron Bunny. Now, if you make Baron Bunny also deal damage on impact like a Pyro AoE whenever you toss it, and that generates a little bit of energy, that could help Amber out a lot, or you could just straight up make Baron Bunny a remote trigger at that constellation instead of something they have to, charge up a charge shot to shoot and detonate. If you just made it to where you pressed E again and it exploded, then that could probably work as well. Something like that could really help her out a lot. As that's her main problem is the consistency of her pyro application and the consistency of the energy she generates are just abysmal when you compare them to Ganyu. And I think if you really help those aspects to Amber, then you're not really going to care about the fact that her stats or her percentages are just straight up worse than Ganyu. Now, I don't want you to get me wrong on something here. Now, Ganyu generates 2 orbs on her initial hit of her skill, and then she generates 2 orbs when it actually explodes. And when Baron Bunny does explode, it generates 4 energy orbs. So they're actually equivalent there. The difference is the clunkiness of the gameplay that Amber has compared to the clunkiness or actually seamlessness that Ganyu has. Ganyu is just much more consistent at 1, applying her cryo element, and then 2, her skills and elemental bursts are relatively seamlessly woven together, while Amber's are extremely clunky due to their durations and cooldown times. Baron Bunny might generate the same amount of energy as Ganyu, but the fact that you have to sit there and charge up a shot to explode its feet if you have her C2, by the way, or you have to sit there and wait for it to explode is just really clunky and doesn't feel nearly as fun in a gameplay loop as Ganyu just being able to dash back, dodge something, gain a little bit of energy, and then just get 2 energy later for free, because of the fact that enemies are taunted by it and the fact that it has a lower duration than Baron Bunny. And I think that's some of the major aspects that are drawing Amber's gameplay back. The fact that you don't have something going on whenever you want to, or constantly going on the way Ganyu does, really holds her back. And I think Ganyu is a great example of how fun Amber really could be to play if they just made some slight adjustments to her kit. Now, before we actually close out the video here, I want to say I don't think Amber is a terrible unit. I actually really enjoy her, and I plan to be building an elemental burst spam version of her as a kind of support role for my team, as I think that could be a really fun way to play her. And especially since the fact that I'm not getting Ganyu because I'm saving up for Zhao, I think Amber is going to be a great unit for me to mess around, you know, to fill that void of needing someone to throw some taunts. I just kind of wanted to go over the reason why Amber is so much worse than Ganyu. If anybody was kind of confused, because Ganyu is really good. She hits big numbers, and Amber can do those things too, but she doesn't do it nearly as consistently, and that's kind of the big problem. Anyway, I hope MiHoYo goes ahead and does buff Amber a little bit. I don't want her to be 5-star level like Ganyu, you know, like doing insane shit. I just want her to be as consistent as like maybe Ganyu, to where she can, you know, generate that energy, apply her pyro better, things like that are just going to make her more usable and an option you might consider over Ganyu if you have a couple constellations, rather than her just being a straight up worse version. Anyway, that's pretty much going to be it for the video. Thanks for sticking around, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment below. I don't normally do kind of like analysis videos like this, but if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, my name is Blossoms, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.